a commentary on Tony Sonic, but he hasn't released a video about one of my biggest hyperfixations right now. So all that's left is a video on another one of my big hyperfixations. Pokemon, no. Demon Slayer, sorry, Danganronpa. This is such a mess. Let me think. Hazbin Hotel. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Hey, oh, where did all the good go? Baby, this is where you're dead wrong. Alright, hey, oh, here's to all the zeros and every misfit in all my down and outs. Hey, oh.
Hola amigos, Raven Pines here, once again with another show to put on. This time I'm not arguing about politics and puppets and movie fans. Oh no. I'm defending Angel Dust's honor. Introducing the Funky Frogz dude. Recently he uploaded a video about why he loathes Hazbin Hotel, and I wouldn't be here if it didn't have problems now, would I? I want to make something 100% clear.
Whether or not you like Hazbin Hotel is fine at the end of the day. What's not fine, however, is faulty reasoning behind your opinion. And I'm only here to attack the reasoning and not the opinions themselves.
We good? We good. All that out of the way, it's time for the show.
There are a lot of things I hate in the world, but none of those things come close to my hatred for Hazbin Hotel. I thoroughly despise this absolute travesty of animation.
Oh boy, we are not off to a good start. I get that you hate the show, but I fear for what's to come. Even worse is that the tone is gonna sour the whole viewing experience, especially for your audience. I know you say that this will be an angry review in a later part and you want to have your audience know what to expect, but that might not calm them down that easily. Just saying.
Hello! We need to talk.
Yeah!
So what exactly is this show about? Well, Hazbin Hotel stars Charlie, who is the Princess of Hell, and every year there's a purge that kills a bunch of demons due to overpopulation. So Charlie opens a hotel to redeem them so they can go to heaven, while meeting a bunch of characters along the way. Now again, that's a good idea and has massive potential, but somehow they managed to fuck up every single aspect of it. And we're gonna break it down bit by bit, molecule by molecule, atom by atom.
Uh-oh.
Okay, that was a badly executed SpongeBob reference if I ever saw one. I don't know, the delivery is kinda whack. Sorry, but you're no Mr. Lawrence, pal. On a different note, it seems like you're on the right track for the whole synopsis of what Hazbin Hotel is about. Can't wait to see if you keep that up.
First of all, the structure of the story itself is absolutely fundamentally broken. The pacing is all over the place. I kid you not. We get introduced to like 5 characters in the first 5 to 6 minutes. And these 5 characters are introduced before we meet Charlie herself, who is, oh, I don't know, the main character. Yeah, we see her in the opening song, but we don't get to see her personality at all until she's seen after these 5 characters. That's a bit too much to take in, don't you think?
And this is where your review starts to fall apart. If you've seen the pilot like I have, then you would know that there is a reason as to why these characters were introduced alongside Charlie during that time frame. As you said, we are first introduced to Charlie through the opening song that showcases her struggles of being the Princess of Hell, since she sees so many people in her kingdom being slaughtered every year. Something that caused Charlie to create the Happy Hotel in the first place. As for Angel Dust, you know that scene with him doing some business with his patron in his car? Yeah, that is telling us, oh, he's a sex worker who pays off his money for drugs at first glance. But then when we get to the turf war, that is when we are introduced to Serpentius, who wants to conquer hell using his machines, Cherry Bomb, who pretty much showed up to the party for the sake of throwing her explosives around, and we have Katie Killjoy and Tom Trench introduced through a news report regarding the turf wars, before we are also introduced to Maggie, and when we see Charlie broadcasting her idea for the Happy Hotel for millions of denizens to see. Sure, Charlie is the main character, But as with every piece of media, the main character doesn't have to appear in every single frame. Considering Hazbin Hotel does seem to have an ensemble of characters that help bring the pilot to life. I'll explain later. Half of the pilot is entirely dedicated to her, so you just need to have some patience, man.
Hello! We need to talk.
Yeah!
Aside from the 5 character introductions in the beginning, scenes will go zooming by without being able to process what the fuck just happened. It's just so broken and it's hard to process a lot of the stuff that happens. So yeah, the pacing is bad, but what about the story? Did they push the story to its fullest potential? No, it didn't. To be fair, this show is only a pilot as of now, so of course not everything is going to be fleshed out. But you could at least do something interesting with the story, because all that is important that happens is this. Charlie sings a sad song about how sad she is about the annual demon purge that I mentioned earlier. She goes to the news to present her idea to the citizens of Hell. They all think it's stupid. She does it anyway. Her and some other characters set up some things, and then the episode is over. This is basically every single person who has a dream of doing something to make the world a better place plot. It's been done to death many times by other things in the past.
Such as? Come on, you gotta give us some examples of works that have this kind of plotline you described to us. Oh, I forgot! There are no examples of past works that have the plotline of the main character wanting to bring their dreams to life here. Silly me.
And I wouldn't mind it if it was interesting, but it's just not. It's so by the numbers.
How is this done by the numbers exactly? From where I'm standing, there's a lot more to it than what you're essentially describing. I'll go into that in the next interjection.
Now you may be wondering, how could I describe the plot of this show in just a few sentences? The pilot is 30 minutes long. There's gotta be more to it. Well, there is. But it's all fucking filler. There's this subplot about this snake guy who's wreaking havoc in the town, and there's some war going on, and a few characters have to fight the snake man. But this has nothing to do with the main plot until the last few minutes of the episode when Alistair kills him. And I wouldn't mind it if it was entertaining or interesting, like I said earlier, but it isn't in the slightest. It's just pointless.
Excuse me, but I don't see how Sir Petuus's involvement in the turf war or even the turf war itself have no relevance to the plot whatsoever. Last time I checked, these things are actually relevant to the plot. The piece de resistance of the pilot that completely groin-shots this argument is the fact that the yearly purge means that more demons fight in hell for territory. It connects to the main plot because we see that Angel Dust gets involved in the turf war, resulting in the reputation of the hotel being flushed down the toilet, as he was the hotel's famous patron at the time.
What?
What? What? What were you doing?
I owed my girl buddy a solid. Isn't that a redeeming quality? Helping friends with stuff?
Not with turf wars that result in territorial genocide.
You win some, you lose a few hundred. It wasn't that bad anyway. Oh, come on, I had to. My credibility was on the line. I mean, what kind of reputation would I have if people found out I was trying to go clean? It just throws out my entire persona.
Your credibility? What about the hotels? Your little stunt made us look like a fucking joke.
As for Sir Petuus trying to conquer hell, that's basically just him acting like the most ridiculous Saturday morning cartoon villain you can ever imagine. Think about it. He's just insane, and he goes on monologues on how he will conquer hell. What's that? Alistair killing Sir Petuus is pointless? I'll get to that later.
We need to talk.
Yeah!
But the story and the songs are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to why I love this pilot the way I do. What are those two things? The characters and the humor. Good fucking God, did they mess up bad in this department. First of all, let's do the humor. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. It contains the worst kind of humor any kind of media contain, whether it be a TV show or a movie. The humor's goal in the show is to make you laugh at sex jokes, drug jokes, edgy jokes, or just a character swearing. This, in my opinion, is the worst kind of humor a piece of media can offer. It's extremely unfunny and dreadful to listen to. There are no punchlines to these jokes besides, hey, he said something edgy, laugh. Well, guess what, Hazbin Hotel? I'm not gonna fucking laugh at your garbage tier comedy because it's simply not funny. It's the kind of humor you find in Sausage Party, which is one of the worst animated movies I've ever seen. But they pushed it even further than that movie did. Every 2 minutes, a character will make an extremely annoying, unfunny joke, and it's just agonizing. I hate it beyond all belief.
If you don't like the humor, that's fine, but there is a lot more to the comedy than what you were leading on. On that note, Sausage Party? Really? That's what you're comparing the comedy of Hazbin Hotel to? A lot of the humor from Sausage Party does consist of sex humor and a lot of edgy jokes almost akin to the pilot, sure. But with Hazbin Hotel, they have a variety of comedic techniques in store, like wordplay.
Speaking of style, is your hat, like, alive or something?
Oh, well, that's none of your goddamn business. Now is it?
Would that make your hat the top and you the bottom?
Characters bouncing off of each other mixed with insult comedy.
Thanks for the fun time, hot stuff.
Yeah, listen. Keep this discreet, you hear me? I can't let it get out I'm offering my services to randos on the street. It was a quick cash grab. You got it?
Whatever you say, slut.
Ouch! Ooh, such an insult. Let me know when you come up with something creative to call me, you sack of poorly packaged horse shit. Tell the missus I said hi. Schnuckums.
Back up.
And even subversion of expectation, if you can call it that.
And what can you do, my effeminate fellow?
I can suck your dick.
Ha! No.
Your loss.
Point is, there is more to the comedy than just edgy humor done for the sake of shock value and not much else.
But do you know who makes all these unfunny jokes? The absolutely unlikable characters. Every single character in this pilot is uninteresting or unlikable. Let's break them down one by one. Charlie is just a generic protagonist and has absolutely nothing going for her. Her bubbly personality is not charming at all and more annoying than anything. Baggy, who is Charlie's best friend, is another generic character who is basically I'm angry all the time and get pissed off at everything and I'm on my period, maybe, I don't know. And that's about it for her. The two news reporters are awful too. The one with the gas mask is just a generic punching bag for the other news reporter lady who is such a huge bitch. She is not likable in the slightest. I wanted to fucking murder her every time she was on screen. She's also apparently homophobic, so take that as you will. But Funky, I hear you cry, these characters are supposed to be assholes, they live in hell. Okay, but it doesn't excuse the fact that they are not pleasant to watch. When I watch something, I want to connect with likable characters and follow whatever's going on with them. If a character is unlikable, then either make them a villain or make them funny. Hazbin Hotel does not do either of those things. We're apparently supposed to connect with these dickwad characters who have no good qualities to them whatsoever. How do people find them likable in the slightest? I don't get it. Anyway, back to discussing the characters. The snake guy is just a fucking generic one-note villain that has servant eggs that are basically just minions. The bomber girl that probably has a lot of Rule 34 of her is so fucking bland that I cannot remember a single thing about her, and she's like on screen for like 5 minutes or something, I don't know. Husk is probably even more unlikable than the news reporter lady. He's always in a fucking bad mood and it's mentally draining. I absolutely despise him. Nifty is literally in the show for 3 minutes and she cleans and she does nothing. Then there's Alistair, who's one of the worst characters in the pilot. His voice is absolutely irritating and obnoxious. But Funky, I hear you cry, he's a radio demon. He's supposed to sound like that. I don't care. It's annoying. I just don't like it. When he first started talking, I already loathed him. His motivations make absolutely no sense either. He wants to help with the hotel because he wants Charlie to fail. If you want Charlie to fail, why the hell are you helping her? He apparently is also an all-powerful being too. I know this because Baggy tells us a very detailed story on how this guy is no good. You know what would have been better? Not telling the story and letting the audience up to interpretation if this guy is good at heart or going to cause trouble. That actually would have been the only good thing to come out of this pilot, because it actually makes you think something.
I said that there's an ensemble of characters that help bring the pilot to life? Well, Charlie, Vaggy, Angel Dust, Alistair, Husk, and Nifty are the main ensemble who work alongside the other characters you mentioned, like Serpentious, Cherry Bomb, Katie Killjoy, and Tom Trench. Sure, we might not see them acting as an ensemble often, but there are other characters coming along for the ride. With Angel Dust being saved for last, I'll break these characters down one by one. Let's start with Charlie. Like I said before, she struggles with the yearly purge as she sees her people being slaughtered during that event, which caused her to create the Happy Hotel. She is faced with many challenges along the way, including dealing with the many denizens making fun of the idea, Angel Dust going into the turf war even after he stayed at the hotel and behaved himself for 2 weeks, and even her own family, especially her mother, disapproving the project in the first place. An example of this is shown in the pilot where she talks to her mother on the phone. She does this because she knows that her family doesn't get behind Charlie's project, but she needed a safety net nonetheless. Charlie may be positive, but she is not stupid. During the scene with Alistair, she denies making a deal with him and instead uses her royal position to order him to help with the hotel because of what Vaggy told her, albeit with sheepishness, but details. We'll get to Alistair in just a bit, so let's move on. Next we have Vaggy. She's not her best friend, but rather her girlfriend. Yes, she was originally written to be Charlie's best friend, but the way the relationship was portrayed had people think they were a couple, and thus Vivzy made the relationship canon. What, are we just pretending that lesbians and bisexual women aren't real out of our own naivety? Perish the thought! That aside, there is a lot more to Vaggy than just her being angry. She attempts to support Charlie's idea for the hotel and tries to guide her away from trouble and humiliation as much as she could, like what she tried to do during the news broadcast regarding the hotel. Yes, we don't know whether or not she agrees with Charlie's ideal of redemption, but she ferociously defends it from those who are skeptical regardless due to her aggressively protective nature, and is very wary of others who might destroy the vision of the hotel. I'll talk about that in a bit as well. Now, I will agree with you on Katie Killjoy because I don't like her either, but that's the thing. The audience is supposed to hate her guts. And you might be asking about the reasons as to why we should hate Katie instead of connecting with her. Evidently, a lot. As you said, Katie is extremely homophobic, especially towards Charlie with the "I don't touch the gays" remark. There's also her being an abusive coworker to Tom Trench, along with her treating Charlie so badly. All this can make the audience go, what the fuck? I will agree with you on Tom Trench being a punching bag for Katie because, let's face it, Tom doesn't really seem to want to stand up for himself, though he does make sexual comments during the news broadcasts, to be fair. Not saying he was asking for it, but he is kinda careless with his words. As I said previously, Sir Pentious is like the most ridiculous Saturday morning cartoon villain out there, especially when the Egg Boys pretty much treat him like a god. In terms of his personality, he is flamboyant, bombastic, temperamental, and very, very persistent. Oh, and he's oblivious to sexual innuendo.
Oh, harder, Daddy! Son?
Cherry Bomb is daring and bold, especially when she partakes in so much arson it would make Smokey Bear cry in shame, as well as having a bit of a soft side despite having a carefree persona, with Cherry staying with Angel after being sexually or verbally abused by Valentino in the Attic music video. I have a qualm about its use in the next and last interjection, trust me. Moving on to Husk. Yes, he is grumpy, but he is an old sinner who was pretty much bribed into helping the hotel with cheap booze by Alistair, and he is only interested in 3 things: gambling, parlor tricks, and drinking. That's pretty much it. He is said to have a soft side, but it's never clear on whether he shows it or not. Nifty doesn't appear much in the pilot since he was introduced rather late into it, but she is very fixated on men in general, and she is very hyper, agile, quick on her feet, and also easily excitable, entertained, and distracted, as we might see more of when the TV show comes out. Also, she cleans, but she does nothing. That's some god-tier wording right there. And last but not least, we have the radio demon himself. Where do I begin? Well, let's start with the obvious. The canon reason for Alistair having the radio voice is the fact that he was the radio show host while he was living, and thus using that ability to broadcast his activities all over hell through the airwaves. Aside from that bit of trivia, I have a problem with you stating that his motivations make no sense since he wants to help with the hotel with an ulterior motive in mind. If anything, it's not as much of a contradiction as you might think. His only reasons for helping the hotel are for his own amusement and his hopes for the project's failure rather than Charlie's idealism. As for the suggestion to make the story of how Alistair is powerful entirely so that the audience can think something, I don't think that's such a good idea, mate. There is a reason as to why Vaggie told that story, even if Angel Dust said he is not into politics. Buckle your seatbelts, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, because this completely kicks the argument in the dick. To explain why Vaggie and Charlie are so wary of Alistair and what he might do to destroy the vision of the hotel. Oh, but wait, it gets better. Alistair killing Sir Pentious is essentially him showing a fraction of his power along with protecting the hotel from an outside threat. I apologize for having a long character analysis of an interjection, but this is not going to be a good sign once we get to Angel Dust.
Hello! We need to talk.
Angel Dust. Where the fuck do I even begin with this disgrace of a character? First of all, this guy is the cause for almost all the terrible jokes in this pilot. A lot of the garbage tier humor comes from him, and his voice makes it all the more worse. There's this smugness to his voice that just pisses me off. He's also such a jerk of a character. In one scene, when this bar is installed in the hotel, Vaggie speaks against it. And what does Angel Dust do? He fucking pins her down and tells her to shut up. What a dickwad. There's also this other scene where Charlie is sad and Angel Dust almost walks towards her. But then he just fucking walks away. Are you kidding me? Does this guy not have a heart? Oh wait, he doesn't. How do people like this douchebag? How do people sympathize with him? How do people consider him great gay representation?
That footage looks familiar. I mean, it's not like I'm questioning why your editor Yellow Shark ever used footage from the Addict music video or anything.
You could have easily saved that footage for a different video regarding the song and it would have had a different purpose entirely.
But from what I am seeing, I am super confused on why such footage was used, especially when talking about Angel Dust as a character and even Cherry Bomb at one point. With the song and the music video, we see a lot more of Angel Dust's character than what we see in the pilot. We see someone who has been through abuse and drug addiction, which were the side effects of Angel Dust continuing his job as a porn star, prostitute, and even a stripper, but he just kept doing the job until he entered the hotel in the hopes of an escape from the abuse. As for Angel Dust being a jerk, I mean, as he said himself, his credibility was on the line. Even with the scene where he almost came to comfort Charlie, it seemed like he had a soft side, but he didn't want to show it. Again, he has a reputation to uphold. There are several possible reasons as to why people like Angel Dust. Maybe they relate to his struggles. Maybe they like his charisma. Maybe they like his jokes, or...
Crazy idea, I know.
Maybe they think he is a realistic representation of what sex workers, regardless of sexuality, go through. What I'm saying is, do a bit more research and be careful when you talk about characters like that. I'm gonna pull the plug here because there's a bunch of stuff I don't care to cover, and with all that said and done, the show is nearly over.
I'll say this, Funky, as someone who is a fan of Hazbin Hotel who can understand that people have different opinions on it, I did not like this review, like, at all.
You got a whole lot of details about the plot, the characters, and the comedy completely wrong, and it seems like you didn't exactly do enough rewatches to properly analyze the pilot. I understand that this video took a long time to make, but just because a review like this was made for longer than anything else doesn't automatically mean it'll be good. The tone of this whole video is very mentally draining to listen to in addition to that. This stuff makes me want to scream, "Welcome to Colorado, folks! The weather there might surprise ya!" If there is some advice I can give you, it would be to watch the piece of media you are reviewing multiple times to make sure you don't miss any important details, and keep an open mind when reviewing any of Vivzi's other works or other pieces of media in general.
And you know what? Even if the problems with the review are still there, and you still don't like Hazbin Hotel or any of Vivzi's other works in general, I can respect that. You do you, my dude.
Hopefully this helps. If not, well, at least I hope this entertained you all. That's all, folks. Until next time, this is Raymond Pine saying take care and be kind to one another. Adios!